The Strait of Hormuz is once again on the edge of paralysis. 2 more commercial vessels have reportedly come under attack in the strategic waterway, while the United States is warning Iran that Washington is prepared to intensify economic pressure and potentially maintain its naval blockade indefinitely. The latest escalation comes as shipping traffic through the strait has fallen dramatically. Before the war, more than 130 vessels could pass through the waterway each day, but now the numbers have collapsed. On Thursday, only 9 vessels were recorded crossing the strait, according to ship tracking data from Kepler. That was higher than the 5 crossings recorded on Wednesday, but still below the August average of around 12. The latest escalation came after 2 vessels linked to the United Arab Emirates state-owned Abu Dhabi National Oil Company were attacked while transiting the strait on Thursday evening. Separately, the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations Center issued an advisory after a commercial tanker was reportedly struck by an uncrewed aerial vehicle while sailing outbound through the strait on August 13th. The vessel sustained minor damage. All crew members were reported safe, and authorities said there was no reported pollution. UKMTO urged vessels operating in the area to exercise caution and report suspicious activity. For global markets, the danger extends far beyond the ships themselves. The Strait of Hormuz connects the Persian Gulf with the Gulf of Oman and is one of the world's most important energy choke points. A huge share of global oil and liquefied natural gas shipments traditionally passes through this narrow waterway. With traffic now dramatically reduced, shipping companies face growing uncertainty over insurance, security, and the ability to safely reach Gulf ports. Washington is now signaling that its response may move increasingly toward economic warfare. President Donald Trump has repeatedly threatened to hit Iran hard militarily, but he has so far resisted deploying American ground forces, seizing strategic Iranian islands, or taking some of the other military steps that have been discussed. Earlier this week, Trump indicated that economic pressure could play a larger role. The United States has already tightened sanctions on Iran and targeted individuals and entities accused of helping Tehran procure weapons. Iran, meanwhile, has shown no sign of simply accepting Washington's terms. A senior Iranian source said there had been no progress in talks aimed at building on a June agreement to end the war. And as the ceasefire has broken down, Iran has resumed targeting ships it accuses of attempting to cross the strait without Tehran's permission. That creates a dangerous cycle. The United States tightens the pressure, Iran restricts shipping, commercial operators stay away, energy markets feel the shock, and Washington faces pressure to decide whether economic measures are enough or whether military escalation becomes unavoidable. For now, the Strait of Hormuz is still technically open, but the numbers tell a much darker story. More than 130 vessels a day once moved through this vital passage. Now, only a fraction are willing or able to make the journey. 2 more ships have been attacked. A tanker has reportedly been hit by a drone. Washington says its economic pressure can continue indefinitely, and Tehran is making clear that it will not simply surrender control over the waterway. The question now is not just whether Hormuz will reopen, it is how long the global economy can absorb a strait operating at a fraction of its normal capacity. With every new attack, the risks rise, and with every ship that stays away, the world's most critical energy choke point moves another step toward paralysis.
Some Americans can now own short-barreled rifles, shotguns, and silencers without registering them with the federal government. Last week, a federal judge in Texas ruled the registration requirements under the National Firearms Act are unconstitutional. This act is the primary law that regulates the purchase and sale of certain specialized weapons and equipment. The judge gave the Justice Department until today to appeal, but for now it chose not to. A DOJ spokesperson told CBS News, quote, "The department respects Americans' Second Amendment rights and is currently assessing the impact of the ruling." CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson joins us now. She's also a professor at Loyola Law School. So why is the judge saying that this part of the National Firearms Act is unconstitutional?
So the judge is saying this actually not based on the Second Amendment. I know we all look at a statute that deals with gun control and we think Second Amendment. This is about whether or not Congress had the power to enact this statute and whether it continues to have that power. As we've talked about, when it comes to the federal government, you have to point to part of the Constitution that allows it to act. When it comes to Congress, there are certain enumerated, meaning listed powers. One of those is the taxing clause. And there used to be basically a $200 tax or fee that people who were making transactions or purchases related to these short barrel guns or silencers had to pay. Then in 2025, in the big, beautiful bill, Congress zeroed out that tax. So you're not paying $200 anymore. What the judge said today, or this week, is that when it comes to Congress using its taxing clause power, you need to have some tax. You need to have something that raises revenue. And when you zero that out in the big, beautiful bill, there is no more tax. So Congress no longer has a power that it can use to pass or at least continue to enact this part of the statute.
The Supreme Court has been skeptical of whether federal judges have the power to impose nationwide injunctions. So who does this apply to?
So this only applies to the plaintiffs in this case, but these plaintiffs include groups and individuals beyond just the Northern District of Texas, where the judge made the decision. So, for instance, there's one group of plaintiffs, Gun Owners in America, GOA, and that includes a great number of individuals who are covered by this particular ruling. In addition, there are 15 states that are plaintiffs. Now, not everybody in each of those states is covered, but state agencies are. So this is not a nationwide injunction, but in effect, it covers a good deal of plaintiffs who get the benefit of this decision.
Is this the end of the road if the Justice Department doesn't step in?
So this is fascinating because it actually might be. The Justice Department opted not to challenge the particular ruling, at least on an emergency basis. We're all looking to see if the Justice Department appeals this. As we have talked about, why does that mean that maybe there's nobody left to challenge this judge's decision? Because you need standing in federal court. And what you would need briefly is a plaintiff that has enough of an injury in order to say, I can bring this case. And if we're looking at, who are we looking at here? Individuals, members of Congress, maybe states. I see standing problems with each of those groups. So it may be if the DOJ doesn't appeal that this is the end of the road for this particular case with this particular judge.
Jessica Levinson, as always, thank you.